you embarked on a journey of promoting classical music through the 88 Concert Tour and 88 International. And one of the objectives was to revive classical music through Salon culture. So let's start with the simplest, silliest question possible. What is Salon culture?
Well, the salon culture, I think, to me, it's just simple. It's a simple idea. It's just people gather to experience some kind of. I think of it as art, but it could be just an intellectual topic. It doesn't have to be art. Just people gathering in usually a private space, but it doesn't have to be private. It could be public or quasi-public, for the sake of that thing, the art, the intellectual idea, or something like that.
Apart from being physically smaller and intimate, do you feel a difference in the way you perform the same piece in a large concert hall versus a smaller gathering? Do you think it takes on a life of its own? Have you sensed it not just being received differently, but just the way you play it and the way it's being put out there being different just because of the fact that it's a more intimate setting?
I feel that it is because for me, when it's in an intimate setting, I feel that I'm playing. Yes, there's a group, but I'm aware of the individuals. I
Mm.
see their faces every time you stand up, and because also I would also speak a little bit about the music usually, or have question and answer with a small group. So you get to know the people, and then when you start to get to know the people, you start to form some kind of specific exchange with that particular individual, or those two that are seated over there, or these three that are in the back. Whereas in a large theater, it's so much more of a collective thing, and it just feels slightly less personal. There's just so many more people, and so it's hard. It's just a little bit more challenging for me to kind of direct the energy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's kind of analogous to, I don't know. For me, if somebody says, "Oh, tell me about tell me what happened to how was your day," my answer will depend largely on to whom I'm speaking. Of course, might leave certain things out if you're not as close to the person. It's all that. It's that same kind of. I think of it as that same dynamic translated into like a concert setting. If you
Yeah.
see the person, you kind of feel like you know them a little bit. At least then you can play and understand how to connect with them, or you have some intuition about it at least.
How important is this two-way street? Because conventional concert halls, arenas, stadiums, rock concerts,
Yeah.
sure, there is that feedback loop because a good performer is tuned into how the audience is reacting and trying to adapt to it. But
Right.
there is this glass wall. There is a stage.
Yeah.
Performers are there. The further up you are, you're not going to feel like connect. It is
Exactly.
going to be more reactionary.
Yeah.
In a more intimate setting, there's a clearly integrated two-way street. There's a channel of
Mhm.
communication going through. How important do you think is that for music and performances?
Well, I think for classical music, for solo piano classical music, I find it to be very important. So I really like that. I like to work with it and try different things about how do you set up the relationship with the audience. There's performers that don't want to speak at all, and they have one type of relationship. There's others that like to speak. Of course, it depends what you say. If we're talking about orchestral music, then it's a little harder to have that in a salon, just because it's a much larger scale of the music.
Yeah.
And I think different musics are ideal maybe in different settings. um, yeah, I think that's a simple answer. So, I mean, the relationship with the audience may differ depending on those settings and depending on the type of music as well.